So, our first part 2 question. Talk about a restaurant that you like. You should say what it's called, where it is, how long you've been going there, and why you like it so much. What we're going to do, we're going to look at idioms, phrasal verbs, collocations, and less common words related to this topic. We're going to go through both answers, and then I'm going to explain the words used. So, I love going to a restaurant in London called Ceviche. It's a Peruvian place, and Peruvian is all the rage in London at the moment. To be honest, it's really easy to see why, as Peru's food is a perfect combination of zesty citrus flavours and piquant chilies. In fact, ceviche is both the name of this eatery and the name of Peru's signature dish. The dish involves cooking fresh fish, but without applying any heat. The fish is placed in citrus juices mixed with spices and herbs, and it's the acid that cooks the fish. To be honest, I'm almost drooling even thinking about this dish as I stand here talking to you. I've been going to this awesome place for the past few years. It's not just the calibre of the food that I love, but also the ambience of the place. There's a real hubbub about the place. You can just sense and hear how much all of the clientele enjoy the place. I think this was the first Peruvian restaurant to hit London, and it's spawned a number of others since, as the popularity of Peruvian cuisine really takes off. But I'd really maintain that this is the best one of all. Okay, so that's our first answer. Lots of less common words there, and 1 or 2 phrasal verbs and idioms that we'll look at later. Now let's look at our second question. Talk about a street market that you like to visit. You should say where it is, who you usually go there with, what you normally buy there, and why you like it so much. Well, I'm a real foodie, and recently I discovered a real godsend of a market in East London. And usually I get disappointed when I go to a street market looking for food. More often than not, I come up empty-handed, as it seems that there are often only slim pickings on offer in terms of anything new or interesting. You know how it is. You see the same things everywhere: falafel wraps, various burgers, maybe some Chinese noodles. But I'm an adventurous eater, and I'm always hunting for new things to try. I usually go with my brother, who, if anything, is even more of a foodie than I am. At this market we discovered a great new dish. It was a Spanish cold soup called an ajo blanco, which is made from old bread and with garlic, almonds and olive oil, and topped with grapes. The soup itself was a real eye-opener. It was incredibly refreshing. But this place had actually made a kind of fusion dish, combining this Spanish soup with Japanese cuisine. So this dish consisted of this soup, the ajo blanco, with a kind of medium rare tuna, some wild Japanese mushrooms, and wasabi, which is a type of Japanese horseradish. This was a mind-blowing dish, absolutely sumptuous. The soup was velvety smooth, the fish meaty and delicious, and the mushrooms added a rich earthiness to the dish, and the crowning glory was the heat of the wasabi. Incidentally, I noticed there I've made a little mistake. I should have highlighted the expression crowning glory in light blue. The crowning glory is a collocation, which means the final thing which makes something really work or really succeed. So, on with the explanations of the other terms. Sorry, a couple more sentences first. My brother and I hung out for most of the afternoon at this market, stuffing ourselves silly before we finally had to shoot off home. So now we'll look at the extra vocabulary. So a couple of idioms. All the rage. If something is all the rage, then it is very popular. To come up empty-handed. If you come up empty-handed, you don't get what you want. You don't succeed in something. So, for example, a football team entered the competition expecting to win, but they came up empty-handed. Some collocations. A perfect combination. Two things that go perfectly together. A signature dish. This is a dish that a restaurant or a chef is most famous for making. Slim pickings. This is when there isn't much of something available. Velvety smooth. Velvet is a material that you make clothes from, and it's a very smooth material. So velvety smooth just means very, very smooth. Some phrasal verbs, a couple of them. To hang out, which means to spend time with somebody or at a place, and to shoot off, which means to leave. So you would say, a native English speaker might say to somebody, I've got to shoot off now. It means I've got to go. Okay? Now, less common words. We have lots of these. Zesty. It means it has lots of flavour. And zest is actually the white stuff in citrus fruits. So we often use this word about dishes that are made with citrus fruits, lemons, oranges, limes, blood oranges, etc. Piquant. If something is piquant, then it has a sharp or spicy flavour. By sharp flavour, we mean things like summer berries, like raspberries or black currants. An eatery. An eatery is simply a less common word for a place where you can go to eat, such as a restaurant. Drooling. When saliva comes out of your mouth, which is what happens if you're very hungry, then you drool. Calibre. Calibre is another word for the quality of something. Ambience. It means atmosphere, the feeling that you get from being in a place. Hubbub. A hubbub is a loud noise of excited conversation. Clientele. It's just another word for customers, but a less common word, so it's a word that if you were to use it in your exam, it would help impress the examiner. To hit London. In the context of this answer, if something hits London, then it has arrived in London. Spawned. This means to give birth to something, to lead to the creation of something. We often say that something has spawned lots of copycats. So something that has worked, for example, a business idea or a new cafe or restaurant, if it works, the first one, maybe lots of other people try to copy it because they also want to make money. To maintain that something is true. This means to insist that something is true. A foodie. A foodie is somebody who loves food. Simple as that. A godsend. A godsend is a very pleasant surprise. An eye-opener is something that is a revelation. Something new that really surprises you. Fusion. Fusion is a combination between two things. In this case, between two different types of cooking. Mind-blowing. Something that makes you feel as though your mind will explode because it's so good. And finally, sumptuous means of amazing quality. And earthiness means tasting a bit like you imagine the earth itself would taste. For example, a mushroom tastes like this. Now, I apologise, I also missed off one phrasal verb, which was to take off. If something takes off, then it becomes very popular and very successful. So if a new restaurant has really taken off, then the restaurant is doing very well. So I hope this was really useful. If it was, please subscribe because there will be lots more videos about the IELTS exam coming up in future weeks, and indeed other videos that can help you learn some advanced English. Thank you for being with me today, and see you soon.